Welcome to Santaroga Surplus. This is number 5 in the Vz.50 and 70 disassembly, maintenance, and reassembly series. What we're going to do right now is we are going to get this piece here off. This is your slide stop. There's a hook here, and when you insert a magazine, and the magazine is empty, that little hook right there rests on the follower and lifts this piece. And that is the slide stop, and it prevents the slide from going forward. We don't have any of the parts in to keep this, but we can put the slide on. And with the magazine in, there you go. Magazine is held in place. It drops, in theory. Remember, we don't have our springs in. It drops when the magazine is removed. There is a spring on this. I don't have springs on the slide. There is a spring on this. It is located right here, and you're going to want to be a little bit careful as you remove this piece. In order to remove this piece, let me back up one moment. It's not just a slide stop. I believe this bent section of metal here also acts as a secondary cartridge guide when cartridges are being lifted into the chamber. Okay? So you don't necessarily want to just take this out and leave it out. I haven't tested function with it, but they didn't put that bend in the metal for no reason, because they wouldn't do that. Too much cost. They built thousands and thousands of these pistols. Now, to remove this, you have to remove the barrel pin, because this is machined so that it won't come off of the pin. The barrel pin comes out from this direction. Obviously it can't go that way, and this is just a little 32, so it's really not all that hard. It does actually move fairly easily as a pin. Get out a bench block. Now this, you can see, can move now. What I'm going to do is see if it will move enough for me to safely remove this tiny spring without losing it. Not quite yet. So we're going to keep that flat. And get the pin out a little further. What I'm trying to do here is get the lever arm to come out far enough that I can uncapture the spring just like that, so it's not under tension as I continue to remove the pin. Because if I leave it under tension, it's going to just slip and it's going to go flying. And this is a pretty small spring right here. It's actually a very long spring. I'm surprised. That's the spring. So I would suggest that when assembling this, reassembling this, you're probably going to want to get that spring seated, get this in, be on the bench block, and get the pin through before you let go. I'm going to get this all back in position over the bench block. This isn't a very tight pin. I should be able to just use the 1/8 inch brass. And there it is. Now, the barrel should be pressed in and be fairly tight because it still operates under some significant pressure, even if it's just a 32. I'm not planning to press the barrel out right now. This is actually a firearm where I would consider it. 32 makes an excellent carbine project round. It's a very nice light shooting caliber for that. And a 16-inch barrel on this, with the way that the grip frame is designed, I could pretty easily get a carbine stock set up and do a conversion on this. This was very popular to do with Walther P38s at one point in history, and it would work fairly well on this. There's enough mass here for me to braze or weld and fit a proper sight optic mount on the top. Interesting idea. And there is the pin. And the reason you can't push the pin out from the other side is that this, on your slide lock, is machined so the pin can't go through. It keeps the slide lock from coming out, which is a problem I have had with many other blowback pistols. A lot of these share very similar design, or at least functional characteristics. Like this is pretty much the same piece on all blowbacks, most blowbacks, but how they're held on, how they function specifically within the frame is always a little different. And I like this capture pin idea, even though it is scary to most people to take the barrel pin out. I have a small child approaching. Go ahead. And she wants snacks and treats. So, that's that. To put it back in, you're going to put the spring in. It's a nice deep pocket, which means it's less likely to just fly out. Compress the spring enough to get the slide lock on. Get the slide lock into the right spot. Get your pin started. Puff the magnetic hammer does this to me quite often. It's kind of hard to do this without a third hand. Or a pair of pliers to hold the pin. And while holding the pin, you can also hold the slide lock. Now the slide lock is there. Okay? Very simple from this point to do that. And you're good. So I'm going to take it back out. This is a very quick and easy step. Don't be scared of removing the barrel pin on this pistol. It's not that big a deal, and nothing bad is going to happen as long as you replace it and make sure it's in there pretty solidly. That's it. Next, I promise, we're going to start working on the side plate. Have a good one.